Hey everyone, how's it going? Delrith here, bringing you another rapid fire preview, this time for the early access game, Hades. Hades is currently being developed by Supergiant Games, the same company that brought you great titles like Bastion and Transistor. So, as I said, Hades is early access, same with the last game I reviewed, Temtem, but with the current state of releases being few and far between, I've actually appreciated the chance to sit down and catch up on things like this, and it's been a blast. To summarize, Hades is a top-down roguelike, well, a roguelite if you will, with extremely fast-paced combat and RPG mechanics tossed in. It's like what you'd get if you took a Diablo-type game and injected it full of speed, and honestly, it's a lot of fun. You play as Zagreus, son of Hades, simply being fed up with the underworld and wanting to escape to the surface, encountering all the gods of Greek lore throughout your attempts to leave, with each one giving you their specific boons, buffs, and supports in various ways. Dying simply sets you back to the beginning of the underworld once again to try all over again, stuck in a loop of prison breaks until you eventually get out.
Look, I have to level with you, Sisyphus. I'm leaving the house. I've had quite enough. You understand, I'm sure. I'm going to the surface.
Going into it, I didn't know what to expect. I've played a lot of early access roguelikes and titles of similar styles in the past, and a lot of them have been disappointing. Well, usually unfinished, rushed, and buggy, but after playing Hades for a while, I can genuinely say there's nothing in that regard to be worried about. Hades doesn't feel like a traditional early access title, more like a finished title in sections that is constantly getting updates. What I mean by this is that the game itself is extremely well done for what it has to offer so far, and each and every bit of content has been added is entirely polished, perfected, and in a lot of cases better than even what you'd get from fully released titles that aren't still going through development. Visually, Hades' art style is freaking sweet. It's got that whole hand-drawn vibe going on, but is entirely clean and super visually appealing, with the style heavily supporting the Greek mythos theme that the game takes place in. Every model, every character, and every environment is all ripe with detail and, from what I can tell, entirely finished, with absolutely nothing catching my eye as half-assed or rushed in development. You'll run through 3 major zones and 1 sub-zone in the game, each with its own locals and visuals, like the River of the Damned, and honestly, they all just fit in so perfectly with a general theme. I love all of them. The characters and gods themselves are all incredibly unique and interesting, with each one having a very distinct style based on their personalities and mythology. The voice acting is implemented for every single line I've gotten from any and all of them, and the quality is superb, with each god feeling entirely grounded and actually part of the universe.
You know your Uncle Zeus by now, correct? Just want to let you know, good Zeus gets very busy on the regular. So you just stick with me. I've always time for you, nephew.
Uh-huh. Everything everyone says sounds genuine, with emotion and urgency landing well whenever it needs to be conveyed. Hell, even the side characters for quests are entirely well done and interesting, and I intentionally went around trying to get as many dialogue options that I could, speaking to everyone and going through all the information just to learn more about them respectively. Even after 30 or so hours of playing through again and again and again, I'm not even close to hearing everything, with new dialogue constantly unlocking, and that's astounding, especially when you consider the fact that every single line is voice acted. It's a ridiculous amount of effort, and I gotta commend Supergiant for it. It's just above and beyond. All the attacks, bosses, and enemies in general, well, whatever, are all really damn good looking as well, with every animation being made for their respective weapon or enemy type. Nothing I could tell was recycled or reused, and again, it all just supports my previous statement of how finely crafted everything that has been put in the game is so far. I'm gonna die to this guy. Combat, however, is the biggest reason I enjoyed this game to the extent that I did, and I could say that it's one of the best systems of this type that I have ever experienced. Every single hit has solid impact and feels rewarding, and the sheer numbers of ways that you can play and the different builds you could do for each respective weapon really makes it so no run is the same unless you choose it to be. You'll have a choice of currently 6 or so weapons to choose from at the start of each run, with each having a specific focus or style. Zagreus' starting sword promotes fast-paced, in-your-face combat and dash attacking, while the bow or railgun, yes, I said railgun, will promote long-range engagements and kiting to its fullest extent. Alright, I unlocked the Gatling gun. The adamant
Delrith,
rail.
The rail of adamant. Annihilate all who oppose me.
This doesn't mean that those weapons are specifically locked into those roles while you're moving through, as power-ups will be gotten through various means while you're progressing, and they have the capacity to completely change the core of how each weapon plays. Great example of this would be with the shield getting an upgrade that turns most of its attacks into ranged, or the railgun becoming a close-range shotgun. There's really no shortage of options. There's also an entire upgrade system for each weapon that requires you to have Titan's Blood, each tree of a weapon adding specific unique bonuses and lending to a different playstyle. Personally, this just seems like icing on the cake, as the core system itself would have been entirely acceptable, but I'm not going to complain about bigger and better upgrades. Your attack is faster and more accurate, and you gain 6 ammo capacity. Your attack deals damage in an area and briefly slows foes. Or rocket bomb. I don't know which one to get. Explosive fire seems pretty good. Throughout your run, you'll have to choose doors, with each one offering a specific boon, item, shop, or NPC spawn after each room clear, with extremely unique ones sprinkled in every so often for fun. I'm not going to spoil any of the special ones, but they're neat as all hell, and will offer you high risk, high reward trade-offs depending on what you choose. Bosses themselves are fairly static for the most part, and you'll encounter about, at current, half a dozen or so, with none of them feeling lame or repetitive and not really causing you to be pissed off when you die to them. It becomes apparent that the only 2 reasons you die in Hades are because you either got a bad run item-wise, or you screwed up yourself, and honestly, I can't recall a single point where I thought I had no chance. I always knew the next run could be better, and that kept me going. Previously, I used the term roguelite, and Hades truly is, with your runs adding little by little to your overall power level of Zagreus. Throughout your progression, you'll pick up various currency items and upgrade materials to increase your base stats, pretty much ensuring that even if you're not great at these types of games, eventually you'll overcome and complete the game itself. Oh yeah, and you'll be able to befriend and gift various people things throughout your gameplay, each one building a sort of friendship bar, with dialogue options unlocking each time you provide a gift. You'll also be given a gift in return, a trinket from each and every person you gift something to the first time, with each trinket offering specific bonuses and being upgraded through using it and clearing room after room.
For you, mate. Thought you might get a kick out of this.
For me, pal? Awful nice of you, just awful nice. But guess what? I got this for you. Tit for tat, you.
Alright, Lucky mate. Tooth. Hell yeah, question mark.
Got something new to try.
God trinkets will generally make certain god boons show up more frequently and have higher rarities, with non-god trinkets usually having unique bonuses such as blocking the first 2 or 3 boss hits on you, making you regen per room, and so on and so forth. It's really a collect them all situation, and none of them are awful. I think I ended up with about 80% in the end, and I'm still working at finishing the whole collection itself. Zagreus' personal upgrades consist of things like starting gold, health, and backstab damage, stuff like that. And I was worried that they make the game too easy, but they honestly didn't, as completing the game the first time with the content that currently exists is only really just the beginning. There's a punish yourself harder contract mode that unlocks once you complete a full run that'll allow you to throw different mutators, modifiers, debuffs, etc. in, with rewards accompanying based on difficulty. This really makes sure that there's more than enough reason to keep playing past the initial win, and I enjoyed the ridiculousness of how hard it can get, and it's more than enough to hold you over until more content's added. Some of the mutators are obviously meant to be entirely unfair and unforgiving. They're not required, but I totally suggest everyone that plays go to their maximum limit. It really starts to get super crazy, and that's when Hades truly shines. Oh yeah, you'll be earning gem currency throughout that allows you to upgrade existing rooms or add existing rooms and encounters to the underworld via a spectral contractor, most of them being beneficial, and it's nice to randomly stumble across them as you play. Most of the upgrades aren't guaranteed to show up, but they tend to appear when you need them the most, like, a healing well, and just adding that extra chance for a boon is entirely worthwhile.
The ever-shifting chambers of the underworld ought to be a little livelier with this.
So wasteful of my realm's resources, boy.
In the end, and to be honest, I'm really excited to see where Hades goes. I found myself playing a lot for the last week or two, and it was one of those games that once you put it down for a couple of hours, you later just get another craving to go back in. It's truly a lot of fun and entirely worth it for what you pay right now, which I think is only $25, and that guarantees you get all the content in the future, and supposedly there's a lot left. It's another example of a fantastic early access title that really hasn't been getting the promotion or praise it deserves, and I encourage anyone and everyone to give it a shot. It's genuinely shaping up to be one of the best games of this genre I've ever played, and Supergiant is entirely living up to the reputation on making a well-crafted title. Rating Hades for how it stands in early access with the value for what you get is easy. It's a solid 9 out of 10. You just really get a lot of bang for your buck, and I can entirely expect it to score even higher at full release, provided they don't screw anything up in the immediate future. Anyway, that's going to be it for this rapid fire preview. If you'd like to do me a solid and hit that like button and subscribe, and if you're already subscribed, ring the bell to get notifications on new videos in the future. Oh yeah, and if you like the rapid fire reviews or would like to see when I'm doing them live on Twitch, you can head over to my Twitter at AJSA Delrith and give me a follow. I'd appreciate it. Until the next video, this is Delrith, and I'll be seeing you.